Good evening, everybody. So, the topic for this evening, it's going to be kind of a rather deep and maybe subjective, maybe a little bit of objective. But here we go. How well do you know yourself? Or how well do you know yourself? One, let's go there. And then, how well do you know the people in your life? It's kind of a question that I've been playing with for the last umpteen years, and I've been evaluating myself, and I've been breaking myself down, if you will, and trying to understand myself better. To learn myself, that's the key. I mean, until you learn yourself, you can't possibly learn another person, right? But then comes in the factor of how well do you know the people in your life, right? Your friends, your family, uh, uh, the people you socialize with, your colleagues, right? Now, I understand that there's going to be some conflict there, right? Because I mean, besides going to work, you really don't uh, have much of a connection with your coworkers. So I get that part. Um, but I've learned a lot of stuff about the people that I thought I knew, right? Like family, friends, people that I thought were my people, right? Because people can put on a good mask. They can put on a good front. They can show us one thing to our face, but then be another way behind our back, right? And so I guarantee it, you guys all have the same dynamics going. I'm sure there's a lot of that going on, and maybe you just don't realize it or don't see it or don't know about it, right? So obviously there's some conflict there as well. Unless you're around the people all the time, right? Unless you're right there in the middle of all of it, you're not really gonna know what's going on unless you're there. So I understand that if you have siblings, your mom, your dad, right? Those people you might know a little better. But how well do you know them after you leave the house and after you're graduated and after you're off to college and after you've kind of got your life going and so forth, and they kind of go on their own dynamic and they do their own thing as well, and then things kind of change and the situation changes, right? And as I told you, this is going to be a kind of a touchy feely thing here, and you'd be surprised how little you actually know about the people in your life. I mean, yeah, we all know the surface stuff. We all know the stuff that they will tell us and they'll give to us and they'll bring into the situation, right? I mean, obviously we all know that part. But I'm saying in terms of the secrets, right? The stuff that we don't know. And those can be the most profound, as I've come to find out. um, um, Family secrets, right? Stuff that not even your mom and dad know about, right? Like maybe your ancestral stuff, or just things that we don't necessarily No, until either we do further research, or either look into it, ask the right people the right questions, right? So I mean, getting to know the people in your life is essential. Even after you've been apart, and even after you don't live in the same house, whatever, right? Like when you go to family gatherings, when you all get together again, and it's years later, and there's been a lot of changes, and there's been a lot of things coming up. Do you sit down and just have a conversation, and get a current up to date thing, or is it just a matter of what people want to tell you about? And I found that that's more true with the more layers that I dig into. Because whether we want to believe it or not, people are very much like onions, right? I'm sure we all remember that from Shrek. but if you think about it, how well do you actually know the people in your life? If you were to take an onion and you were to set it on the table, and you were to chop that baby up, of course you might be crying, right? You might have some tears, and you might have some water coming out, and so forth, right? But and once you're dissecting that onion, and you're looking through the layers, how much do you actually know? And then we're gonna fall into your partners, because you'd be surprised how many divorces happen because of differences of opinion all the time. Relationships break up because of indifference, but it's because of the people not wanting to look at the full situation before they come up with a narrative that suits their frame of mind in that moment, right? And of course, once again, you'll only learn the surface level. You'll only find out what they like, what their interests are, what their hobbies are, um, what do they like in bed, right? What's their favorite position, stuff like that. But like when, or I'm sorry, what about the deep dark stuff, like what they value and what they appreciate most in life, and what brings them the most happiness, and what, like that really deep, those really like soul punching subjects and questions. Like you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know the people that they're with, or don't really know the person that they're putting a ring on it, right? And that's why a lot of divorces, and that's why a lot of relationships fall apart, is because, very simple and point blank, they don't know the person, because they're not asking the right questions. They're only asking the surface level questions, but they're not digging through the layers. We're going to go to a part two. Hang on one second.